Hi, I'm coming to you on May 17th, 2025 from Lugano, Switzerland, one of the nicest, quietest cities in the world. They're very safe, and today the topic is your business base as a PT. Now, first of all, to review what a PT is. A PT is a perpetual tourist, sometimes called a prior taxpayer, also a protector of your treasure, PT. But just to go over the general theory of PT, invented by me, is you have 5 or 6 flags. The first flag is your passport flag. That's a country that doesn't draft you, put you in the military, and doesn't tax you when you're away from the country. So a country like the United States, in fact, that's the only country in the world, will tax you the same as if you're living there with a nice $250,000 roughly deduction. Oh, wait, sorry, not 250, more like 130. So if you're from the USA and you make under 130 a year or 260 with a spouse, you're free of taxes, but you have to file that complicated tax return. So if you have a USA passport, that's sometimes called the most expensive passport in the world for wealthy people. Okay, after your passport, you have your residence, a place where you live, and that is usually going to be a tax haven. Now, most people don't even know or understand that there are some places in the world that don't have any income taxes. Monaco, Bermuda, Cayman Islands. There are lots of places where most of Central America and South America, where you just there is no such thing as income tax. So uh, your residence is the second flag. Your third flag is your business base. Now this is interesting because in the old days, to get somebody who would employ locals, a country or a district might say, oh, we'll give you 20 or 30 years of no taxes. Israel still does that for wealthy people. You set up your headquarters in Israel, whether you're Jewish or not, and you get tax. Uh, this is for wealthy people. You get no tax for 20 or 30 years if you employ a few locals. And that's very good for people in the new age computers, artificial intelligence, and so on. Okay, so that was the rule in the old days. To go to a place that gave you a tax holiday is what they used to call it, and who maybe would pay for a whole new factory to build. Ireland used to do that, and after that, they might say, we'll guarantee you no strikes. If our workers ever go on strike, we'll subsidize them. Well, that that era is now past, and what people look for is a nomad capitalist visa. This is an invitation to come to the country and set up an online business, which they will grant you uh, no tax for a while and provide very good internet. And that is a business base today that is sought after by a lot of PTs. Another flag that I just talked about in an earlier video a couple of days ago is playgrounds. Short summary, uh, if you spend too much money, you come to the attention of the wrong people. Insurance salesmen, robbers, blackmailers, and of course the tax collectors. So in a playground like Las Vegas, you can gamble and consort with all sorts of people that will take your money, and uh, everybody needs, well, not everybody, but some people need a playground where they can let loose. Then the final and most recent flag is your digital base, the place where you can get very good internet, where they welcome digital nomads. It kind of ties in with your business base, but your your headquarters when you're in the online business is no physical place. So it's a place up in the stars, just like Bitcoin, which we've already talked about and we'll talk about again. Okay, so now let's talk more about uh, business. Well, wait. When you have a business base, you need a business. And that's, I think, a good topic for the moment. I have an ex-girlfriend who used to run a small trucking company. She would do local deliveries, and that was very stressful. You're always dealing with complaints, accidents, insurance, many variables is what we call them in business. Well, this lady had as a hobby raising rabbits. Can you believe this? That was her thing in life. Some people like dogs, cats, but this lady liked rabbits. And she discovered that nobody made a nice comb that would take out the rabbit hair. So she retired from the trucking business with all its hassle and designed a comb to comb rabbits. And you can see her website. It's called Bunny Gear, Bunny space Gear. Go there if you have a rabbit. And that takes us to our next topic. Well, she told me she makes more money and has more fun selling rabbit combs and giving advice on her online place to rabbit owners. And what I was going to say was that is what you call a niche market. Most people don't even think about making money off rabbits. Cats and dogs, sure. You can have dog vitamin pills. You can have all sorts of toys and things for cats. But who thinks about rabbits? Maybe even birds is a less of a niche market. Okay, but the point is, uh, if you want a business, online or otherwise, uh, what has always worked for me is my own needs. You know, there's a saying in business, find a need and fill it. And what has worked very well for me is when I needed something, uh, I I started a little business to fill my own needs first, and then to fill the needs of other people who had the same problem. So let me tell you a story. A long time ago, I was in Poland, in Warsaw. And when you're a traveler, you get dirty clothes. And I looked and I looked. There was no such thing as a automatic laundry. There were a few places that did laundry, but you had to give them a bag of laundry and pick it up in a week. I'm talking about you're a tourist, you're only going to be in town a day or two, washing machines. So I decided, oh, I'm going to open up a washer and dryer place in Warsaw. But really, I didn't want to stay in Warsaw. This is right after the end of the communist era. So I told a friend of mine about it. He started a washing machine franchise in Poland, did very well. And that same idea would also work in Italy, where up until recently there were no fast laundries. Okay, so solve a problem for yourself, and then you will maybe have a very good business for a niche market. There's a guy called Andrew Henderson. Now, he's sort of me, but 50 years younger. And his idea was to take the PT idea and sell the product. And so he helped people get residence and passports in places like Turkey, where all you had to do was buy a $200,000 property. And in Turkey, 5, 10 years ago, you could get a very nice place for 250,000 bucks, even a beachfront property. And if you did that, Turkey would actually give you a passport in about 4 to 5 months, no extra charge. Well, obviously the token charge of $50 or something. Okay, So this Andrew Henderson uh, began to advise people on the internet. He had a new internet uh, video every single day for a long time, still has them. And I think he calls it the digital nomad. Well, anyway, as it turned out, people who took his advice did very well because the $200,000 property of 5 or 10 years ago is now $1 million in Turkey. The prices have gone up 5 times, and the people who have passports, well, that program is pretty well dead now because the property that you have to buy is very expensive. And the government has made the minimum price 450,000, and you have to buy it from a Turk, and lots of other things that make life difficult. That's what government does. They start out with something fairly good, and it keeps getting more complicated and more expensive. Okay, so when I talk about niche markets, if you can think of something that you needed and you figured out how to get it, was a little complicated. If you can sell that same product online, you can do very well. In my case, the product was very niche. Wealthy men who are dissatisfied with their life. They might have an unhappy marriage. They might have a business that's very stressful. And my PT theory, the whole idea was you can leave that all behind, go to a wonderful place, a ski place if you like cold, or a tropical island if you like warmth. And that's actually what I did. And I used to advise people for $25,000 a pop on how to do it. And that was a lifetime fee. And I still have people who come to me and I try to help them. And so, besides that, I would show people how to make money on, not necessarily online, but in things like arbitrage. What's arbitrage? Buying in one place cheap and selling the same product in another place where it sells for more. Example, American rare coins sell cheaper in Switzerland than in America. Can you believe that? And Swiss rare coins sell cheaper in America than they do in Switzerland. So there's an arbitrage factor there. I think we've covered our 10 minutes here, and therefore I'm going to say bye-bye and see you maybe tomorrow.